Hello.
We're on.
Good morning. We're
It's
back.
been a while, yeah.
Yeah.
It feels strange a little bit.
Coffee and catch up with Ben Shanley. Yeah, I've been off for a few weeks, but it's great to be back with you.
Yeah.
Have you missed us?
Yeah, we've missed you, missed being here, having this moment. So yeah, I mean, we've been away for a couple of weeks in Donegal,
Yeah.
which has just been really good. You know, like walks by the beach, fresh air, just good for the soul. Lots of conversations with God on the beach, and then we were supposed to be back last week, but then you were in hospital, weren't you?
I
So
know.
that kind of scuppered things a little bit. The plan did not work.
Yeah. So yeah, for anybody who did know and was texting, praying, supporting us, supporting me last week, I want to say thank you so much. I am now home, sleeping back in my own bed, which is great. Still a wee bit of recovery to go, and trying to learn to rest, which is not the most straightforward thing for me, but we'll get there.
I can concur with that. But she's doing well. Like you're resting.
I'm trying.
Yeah, you are. But I don't know about you. God's been really speaking to me, to us. Well, right throughout lockdown, really. But just getting a chance to be on the beach and walk and listen and have space to talk with God through what He's been saying and reflect on. It's just been really helpful for me. So I've got a question for you this morning, which is, what has God been speaking to you? Which obviously assumes that God is speaking to you. But maybe that's something that's new for you. You haven't really considered that God speaks to you, or you don't know what it is to talk to Him or whatever. But one of the greatest discoveries I've ever had in life with Jesus is the fact that God still speaks to us. It makes it an adventure. And He speaks in lots of ways through the Bible, in lots of creative, interesting ways. So what's He been saying to you? It's a good question.
Yeah. And then a follow-up question to that is, what are you doing about it?
That's a better question.
That's a harder question. You see, when God speaks, there's always an invitation. You know, sometimes it might be an invitation to wait. Maybe it's an invitation to pray more, but more often than not, it's an invitation to action. But every time, it's an invitation towards Jesus.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and like when you think about it, like that's what I love about Jesus. The way He lives as an example to us. And He lives always calling us to invitation. Like over and over in the Bible, Jesus is calling out invitations. You know, He's saying, come follow me. You know, He's saying, those who have ears to hear, let them hear. You know, His teaching, His parables, sometimes they can sound a bit obscure. They can sound even controversial at times. But really, they're calling us to search out His kingdom. It's an invitation to search out the truths of His kingdom.
Yeah. It's really good. So what is His invitation to you this morning? So what is Jesus inviting you towards? Where is He calling you forward? And then that second harder question, how are you responding to that? I wanted to share a little bit with you just for the rest of this time on what God's invitation has been to us in this time, in the last number of weeks, and maybe before that as well. But also think it's Jesus' invitation to us generally as a church, and also to Foyle Vineyard. And so the first invitation is really simple but quite profound, quite strong, and it's just this: to follow Jesus more closely, to actually follow Him wholeheartedly. I don't know if you find during lockdown, you know, things have been shaken up. Well, that's an understatement, isn't it? Of course, things have been shaken up, but you know, old patterns have resurfaced. We talked about this loads. You know, behaviors have been thrown out, and we've had to address some of those. That's been uncomfortable. But also, you might have found that maybe there's areas of your friendship with Jesus which actually you didn't realize were quite shallow, and those have been exposed. And many of us are discovering that actually what we thought was our wholehearted response and following of Jesus actually probably was more like just skimming the surface of His kingdom. And I think Jesus' invitation is always to all in, totally surrendered, completely given over to Him kind of invitation. So I don't know if you've been eating ice cream during lockdown. I think there's lots of research out there that says people have been eating a lot of ice cream. We have too, of course. But give us if you're watching live or if you're watching back, what's your favourite flavour of ice cream? Like, what's your go-to flavour? If you can get it at the shops, whatever. What do you like? What's our favourite?
Salted caramel.
Salted caramel.
Every
That's
time.
like our go-to, isn't it? Pretty much, yeah. So anyway, but ice cream's good. It makes you feel better for a moment, anyway. Maybe not forever, but there's this flavour that Ben and Jerry's do. I don't know if you come across it. It's actually really tasty. It's called Half Baked. But the truth is, I think some of us, and me included, some of us are realizing that actually some of the areas of our lives are just half baked. The Bible uses the word, lukewarm, which isn't a very nice word, but it means, part in, part out. 1 foot in the kingdom, 1 foot out of the kingdom, and not all in. And I think Jesus' invitation to us in this moment is actually a wake up and saying, I want you all in my kingdom. I want you following me with all of your heart, not in part. So what does that invitation look like to you? What are the sins, the distractions, the affections of your heart that you need to address? What are some of the things the fears and the restrictions on you that are stopping you walking into what God has for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was seeing some ice cream flavors there, vanilla and raspberry. Good choice, Claire.
Good. Yeah,
good
definitely.
Choice. Yeah, and the second invitation then that we kind of felt God calling is the invitation that he gives to us to grow in our love for one another. One of Jesus' greatest commands is that we would love one another and love one another well. And I love the way it says that actually others will be drawn to God because of how we love one another. And that's how we participate fully in the family of God.
Yeah.
And that's been a bit challenging during this time, hasn't it? We might have felt a bit more isolated, might have felt a bit less part of things than we have. Sometimes in moments like that during lockdown, it brings up all your insecurities or hurts or fears of rejection. And sometimes we just want to withdraw from others. But Jesus has built into the foundations of how his kingdom works the need to do this together as part of people in a story that is bigger than ours. And yes, much of how we do that, it looked different during lockdown. It's going to look different in this next season as we transition. But we have this beautiful opportunity to be creative with how we connect with each other, how we love each other. And it's going to require us all to play our part. Yeah. And in some ways, maybe it means laying down some of our preferences for the sake of being a people of his presence, a kingdom people. And I'm sure it's certainly going to mean that we need to get better at stepping out of our comfort zone, of being hospitable to people from every background, of letting go of offence and choosing to be known by others. And yeah, that's just to name a few.
Yeah, that's really good, Sweets. That's really good. So yeah, I last invitation really that God's been making to me, and I want to invite you to respond to it too, is just the invitation to share the hope of Jesus more courageously with others. Yeah. And I know that sometimes that's a challenge for us, but actually this moment is a moment where God's inviting us to actually be bold and courageous in speaking of him and sharing him with the world around us. Jesus commissioned us to go and make disciples of all people, starting where we are, in our families, our neighborhoods, our communities, our city, and beyond that. And that has to become front and center for us as individuals, as the church, and for Vineyard Church, especially in this next season. We want to look at how do we spur one another on into that? How do we encourage one another to be bold and courageous in how we share the hope of Jesus with others, to be creative even in how we do that? How do we become people who are agents of his love and his mercy to a lost and a hurting world? And so that's the invitation that Jesus has been making to us during this time, and just a few of them. And I want to ask you, I guess, the question that we're asking ourselves is, how are we going to respond to that?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? Because every invitation requires a response. Do you notice that? And even not giving a response is kind of a response in itself. Do you know what I mean? Like if you ever tried to organise something and invited somebody or invited me part of something and they just haven't got back to you.
Yeah, that's usually me.
But it's really hard, especially for my personality. It's really hard to plan ahead not knowing, right? And you see, the way I say it is a lack of response is kind of just another way of communicating a no.
That hurts, but it's true.
What we want to say, yeah. But I suppose when we're thinking about this, God's inviting us to something, we want to respond, and we do not want to be a people who delay in responding to Jesus' invitation.
It's really good.
So we want to respond with a resounding yes. We want to let's go out. We want to be a people of invitation who call our friends, our neighbours, our colleagues towards Jesus.
Yeah.
To make the invitation to them of a life with hope. Yeah.
It's really good.
So, preach over.
Yeah, no, you could keep going for a while there. That was really good. Really good. So yeah, so that's our, just really simply what we wanted to share this morning. Good to see a few there, Pearl, Michelle, Lorna.
Steph.
Yeah, Steph.
I was there at the beach.
Oh, there at the beach. Wow.
Brilliant.
Here, I wish I could.
I know, wish I was at the beach, but anyway.
I was thinking we should do this someday on the beach, but the wind would just be crazy.
You
wouldn't
wouldn't
it?
do us,
Yeah,
but
well, maybe
enjoy the
we'll
beach
work on
day.
that one. But yeah, good for the soul. Ask God what He's speaking to you at the beach. That was my journey during Donegal. Anyway, really good to have you guys on. And yeah, we're going to be sending some stuff out this week as well, just with a bit more information on what it's going to look like for us to be the church and how we want to lead into what God's inviting us into and what He's been speaking to us about, and all the practicalities that's going to involve as we kind of transition out. So just expect that.
Yeah, so really important. If you don't get our emails, if you don't get our updates, really important time to sign up. So send us a wee DM, we'll get you connected, or I'll put a link in the comments below after. But watch out for that at the end of the week. We'll keep you up to date.
Good stuff. Yeah.
So in the meantime, it's been great being back.
Yeah.
We will see you again next week, if not sooner.
11
And
o'clock.
yeah, have a really great day.
Have a great Wednesday at the beach or whatever you are doing.
With your ice cream, vanilla and strawberry.
Or salted caramel.
Or salted caramel.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
And then let's be people who respond to the invitation of Jesus.
Absolutely.
And without delay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's us for now. Good to see you. Chat to you soon.
Bye now.
Bye.